have entered into the fast for nativity for this year, and in today's gospel reading and the epistle reading there was mentions about some of the background of why we do fast, and it's a topic which one could actually spend many hours discussing and talking about. As sin came into the world through eating, Adam and Eve, because they disobeyed God and partook of that which was disallowed for them, the one and only thing that was disallowed of them. So through food, we are given a path in which we may be able to fix ourselves up and undo that which was done in those first days. People ask about fasts today, and I don't know why, because we live in an age where so much literature and so much information about this is available. Evidently, people don't read, and possibly churches or whatever don't discuss it. They just say it's a fast and that's it. What does that mean? Some people ask various questions about the type of food. For example, crocodile meat or snake meat or something exotic like that. Well, we as Westerners don't have that in our diet as such. Perhaps natives of some particular country have to eat that because that's all they have to eat, and therefore for them it's okay. But to go out during the fast periods and seek exotic foods is sort of breaking the whole spirit of what this fast is all about. The best guide, very short guide, is found every year in the St. Herman calendar on the very last page, written by Father Seraphim. And he summarised it very well. As a general rule, Wednesdays and Fridays are fast days for Orthodox Christians, unless otherwise specified on the calendar. For monastics, they also keep Monday in commemoration of the bodiless powers, the angels. And some lay people also do Monday if they have the strength. Half the year, or maybe even more than half the year, are fast days. And it also shows why this is so important to us. The two great saints of the 19th century who wrote for us, St. Ignatius Brentolino and Theophan the Recluse, whom I often quote, give us already a scientific foundation of why we fast. They say in many of their writings that eating non-fast foods like meat, foods that contain red blood, etc., causes various hormones in the body to work in such a way that it quickly induces lustful feelings, anger, and all those sorts of things. And medical science also in our days looks upon fasting as a very great medicine for the cure of many types of sicknesses. And indeed, I have witnessed that myself, within myself and within other people, how going on a strict fast can indeed fix up a person in many ways. But of course, we are looking at this from a spiritual point of view. What is it to us? Well, already I've given you some hints. The fasting takes a little burden off us for those lustful and anger strivings that occur in us according to our fallen nature. So there we already have a weapon, as they say, to fight those passions that live within us. We fast not to please God. You know, you go to a supermarket and you hear people saying, oh, these biscuits have milk in them, I'll be unpleasing to God if I have these. Well, you're not fasting to please God, you're fasting to fix yourself up, to sort of reject, to sort of come back to the way that Adam and Eve were before the fall, because Adam and Eve never did eat meat. And in fact, meat was not even eaten until after the Great Flood. So people, the early people, lived quite happily on fruits of the earth, rather than having to kill animals or any of those sorts of things. I know that things like prawns and whatever are allowed. But if you make a diet of prawns during Great Fast, well, is that fasting? Is that fasting? You know, people look upon that as a sort of a great and delicious and exotic type of food. And yes, it's Lenten according to the strict rules of the church. But if you purely focus upon that, then again, the spirit of the fast is taken away from you. That is not fasting. For us, the fasting doesn't just end and begin with food, but within all those other activities that we do. The way we talk, the way that we think, things we think about, our attitude towards others, the judgments that we have in our minds, and the anger that we sometimes express upon others, the lack of prayer, which I think all of us fall into. We don't pray as we should, morning, night, before meals, after meals, the cycle of services which the church has given to us. It's hard, I know it's very hard in our day and age. In past times, for example, in Holy Russia, places that produced non-Lenten food during the fast periods were closed. You couldn't buy meat. You couldn't buy those sorts of things because the whole nation respected that which the church gave us. Today, it's become even more difficult because the food that we do have, the Lenten food, doesn't nourish. It's been so fiddled with genetically and through various growth properties that it lacks. People don't realise that if you change one strand in the DNA of food or whatever, the repercussions of that can be very major in other parts which we do not know. And for that reason, I have seen people trying to go on a strict fast come into despondency, depression, because they feel so down and out of things. And that's due to the fact that the food that they have been eating is not nourishing. And so therefore we have to, as Orthodox Christians in this time, adjust ourselves to that which is in the world that we live. If you can find good, nourishing food in the world today, then by all means use it. But if you get into a state where you're falling into depression and uncomfort and all sorts of things like that, and it's pulling you away from spiritual life through prayer, through good attitudes to your neighbours and to yourself and to the church, then perhaps you need to let go a little bit. It's okay. It's okay to have, I'm not saying to break a fast, but if you need to have a steak because you lack blood or something during work, then have one. If that makes you more inspired for spiritual life and for prayer, then have it. But by no means make that a rule, a daily rule for yourself. Of course, those who are sick and have various ailments, again have to adjust themselves to what they can take in this sort of world. We have such a variety of foods today that it's overwhelming, and there shouldn't be problems finding that which is both satisfying to us and which can give us inspiration and the energy that we need to go through our daily lives. The spiritual aspect of that being the restraint that we need to use in approaching our salvation. And that restraint goes over also into the various activities that we do. There are certain things that you don't do during the Lenten period. You restrain yourself from it. I won't go into it, but I think you know what I mean by that. And thus, from the very beginning of the world, when human beings came into existence, fasts became an important thing for their salvation and for their good standing before the Lord. Not because the Lord wants us to make this sort of sacrifice or something, but in order that it may modify and put to rest some of the horrible passions that live in us and sort of evoke within us during this period. I remember Father Seraphim Rose gave us an example of a person who was trying to live a very deep spiritual life, fasting a lot, saying 5,000 Jesus prayer every day, whatever. And when a neighbour disturbed him by playing music or something, he started to curse and scream and throw plates at the apartment where he was, all things like that. Again, is that fasting? Is that fasting? Better you eat meat and don't do those sorts of things, if that's your attitude to it. Therefore, in these 40 days, God help us that we come out of it inspired with the feast days that it represents and inspired in the works that we need to do upon ourselves in order that we may meet those feast days, understanding what they mean in our own lives and how they lead us to salvation. Because nothing in the church is done at random. Everything that's been given to us is there, and even if we can't fulfill it all, let that be a method of humbling ourselves and sort of understanding our limitations so that we don't live in this prideful situation or that we're Orthodox Christians, therefore we are saved automatically. Certainly not. God help us, preserve us, and protect us in all things. Amen.